Dear students, from my previous PowerPoint presentation, I think you became familiar with particle accelerators. In that presentation, I have discussed in detail about a very important type of particle accelerator, which is nothing but linear accelerators, which are also called as LINACs. While discussing about LINAC, at the end, we realized one limitation of LINAC. The limitation is if we want to increase the kinetic energy of the particle using LINAC to a very high value, then we have to add more and more number of electrodes into the LINAC tube. And as a result, the length of the LINAC tube will become very long. If the length is very long, it is very difficult to maintain the vacuum inside the LINAC tube. And also, it is very difficult to handle. Now, this is one limitation of LINAC. Now, this limitation can be overcome by using a technique. Now, what we can do, instead of using more and more number of electrodes, we can make use of only 2 electrodes, and we have to do an arrangement such that the particle to be accelerated is made to enter between the gaps of the 2 electrodes in number of times, and each time when it enters into the gap, it gets accelerated by the electric field. Now, such an arrangement can be done with the help of another field, which is nothing but magnetic field. So, we can use both electric and magnetic field in order to overcome from the limitation of LINAC. Now, such an arrangement is made in another particle accelerator, which we are going to discuss in this presentation, which is nothing but cyclotron. In cyclotron, we are going to use both electric and magnetic fields, and here we are going to use only 2 electrodes which are separated by a gap. Okay, and before discussing in detail about cyclotron, let us see what is the role of magnetic field and what is its importance by recalling certain important terms. You are familiar that when a charged particle moving through a magnetic field experiences a force which is called as Lorentz force. That means when a charged particle having charge Q moves with a velocity V into a magnetic field of strength B, then the particle will experience a force called as Lorentz force, which is given by F is equal to Q times V cross B, cross product of velocity vector and magnetic field vector. And therefore, the Lorentz force is given by, the magnitude of the Lorentz force is given by QVB sin theta, where theta is the angle between velocity vector and magnetic field vector. And the direction of this Lorentz force, as this is a cross product of velocity and magnetic field, the direction of the Lorentz force is always perpendicular to the plane containing vectors V and T. Suppose if the theta is 90 degrees, that means if the angle between velocity vector and the magnetic field is 90 degrees, then the charged particle will experience maximum Lorentz force and the magnitude of the maximum Lorentz force experienced by the charged particle is given by F is equal to QV into B. And in this situation, the direction of the Lorentz force can be obtained by using the Fleming's right hand rule. So according to Fleming's right hand rule, if you stretch the first three fingers of the right hand mutually perpendicular to each other, and you have to place your fourth finger in the direction of the magnetic field, and you have to place your thumb in the direction of the current. Current and the velocity directions are one and the same. Then the middle finger will give the direction of the Lorentz force. And since the magnetic field and the current or the velocity are mutually perpendicular to each other, then the Lorentz force is maximum, and the direction of the Lorentz force is given by the middle finger. Now this is Fleming's right hand rule. Now look at the second figure. Here the cross represents the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the screen, and if the direction of the velocity is in the plane of the screen, then you apply the Fleming's right hand rule, you will get the direction of the force, and the direction of the force is as shown in the diagram. As a result, the particle will take a circular path. The particle will move in a circular path. Okay, it describes a circular path. That means the Lorentz force appears in the form of centripetal force. Therefore, the magnitude of the Lorentz force dQV is also equal to mv square by r, where r is the radius of this circular path. Now, if the velocity is more, then the radius of the circular path is also increases. Therefore, the radius of the circular path depends upon the velocity value. Now, this is about Lorentz force and Fleming's right hand rule. Now, let us move towards the topic cyclotron. What are cyclotrons? Cyclotron is an accelerator used to accelerate atomic and subatomic charged particles based on magnetic resonance method. Now this cyclotron, it works on the principle called as magnetic resonance method. Now this cyclotron is used to accelerate not only subatomic charged particles, it can also accelerate atomic particles. Okay, it can be used to accelerate both positively charged and negatively charged particles, and usually these cyclotrons are used to accelerate positively charged particles. Now it was developed by E.O. Lorentz and M.S. Livingston. These are the scientists who developed this particular accelerator. Principle. The acceleration of the charged particle, ion, takes place in successive steps. The energy gained by the ion in each step being the fraction of the total energy achieved. The charged particle moves in spiraling orbits of gradually increasing radii due to the influence of the transverse magnetic field. The time of transmit of ion between the electrodes is such that the radio frequency electric field is always in phase to accelerate the ion when it crosses the gap between the electrodes. Now this is the principle of cyclotron. You will understand the principle better after discussing the construction and working of the cyclotron. So here, now the particle gets accelerated in successive steps. That means in each time when it enters into the gap, it gets accelerated, and therefore the total energy, the final energy achieved by the particle is the fraction of the energy achieved in each step. Now look at this sentence. The charged particle in cyclotron will take a spiraling path. Now therefore, now cyclotron is a cyclic accelerator. In LINAC, the path of the particle is straight line, whereas in cyclotron, the charged particle will take a spiral path. Now we are going to see why it takes a spiral path when we discuss the working of a cyclotron. Now, and this spiraling path is due to the influence of the transverse magnetic field. The particle gets accelerated because of the electric field, and it takes the spiraling path because of the magnetic field. Okay, and in order to achieve acceleration, we have to satisfy certain condition. The condition is the time of transmit of ion between the electrodes must be in phase with the frequency of the radio, the frequency of the AC electric field. Now this is called as a resonance condition, and when this resonance condition is satisfied, then only the particle gets accelerated. Now this is the principle of a cyclotron. You will understand it after discussing construction and working. Let us look at the construction of a cyclotron. Cyclotron consists of only two electrodes. Look at the shape of the electrodes. Cyclotron consists of two hollow semicircular chamber electrodes, and these electrodes, they look similar to letter D, therefore these electrodes are called as Ds, and the two electrodes are named as D1 and D2, and these two electrodes are placed inside a circular vacuum chamber. Now here we are having a circular vacuum chamber C, which consists of two electrodes D1 and D2, and these two electrodes are nothing but hollow semicircular chambers. Okay, these two electrodes are placed in such a way that their straight edges are parallel to each other, and they are separated slightly with one another to form a gap. That means we have to arrange these two Ds such that their straight edges should face one another and they are slightly separated from each other, so that a gap is created between the two electrodes. Then the Ds are connected to high frequency oscillator, and we are going to use an AC source, and the electric field is generated by using high frequency oscillator. Okay, this entire assembly is placed between the pole pieces of a powerful electromagnet such that magnetic field is perpendicular to the faces of these. So in the first paragraph we have seen that we have used the electric field. Now we are using magnetic field by placing this circular vacuum chamber C, which consists of these Ds, in between two pole pieces of a powerful electromagnet, and we have to arrange them in such a way that the magnetic field direction is perpendicular to the vacuum chamber. And the ion to be accelerated is placed at the center of the gap between the Ds. Now this is the construction of a cyclotron. Now this is the top view of a cyclotron. Here, now this is nothing but this circle, complete circle is nothing but the circular vacuum chamber, and here it is having two hollow semicircular electrodes, chamber electrodes. Now these are Ds, D1 and D2, and these two electrodes are connected to an AC source. Since we are using an AC source, after every off cycle the polarities of these electrodes gets reversed, and here we have kept the source which releases the ion to be accelerated, and the ion is placed at the center of the gap. Okay, and after the particle gets the sufficient energy, then it is removed from this chamber and made to strike the target. Now this is the top view of a cyclotron. So this is another picture which represent the top view of a cyclotron. Okay. Now D1 and D2 are hollow semicircular chambers. These electrodes are hollow semicircular chamber. The particle will enter inside the electrodes. Okay. Now this diagram shows the side view of the cyclotron. Now here, now this is nothing but the circular chamber. These are the Ds, and at the center we have a source, and this chamber is placed in between the two poles of an electromagnet. Okay, look at the positions. The magnetic field direction is perpendicular to the chamber. Okay, so this is another picture of a cyclotron. Now let us discuss the working of a cyclotron. At the instant when, say, let us assume that we have taken the positive ion to accelerate, when the ion is placed in between Ds, at that particular instant, let us assume that the electrode D1 is at the negative potential, then the D2 will be at positive potential. Now since we have taken the positive ion to accelerate and D1 is at negative potential, then the positive ion will get accelerated towards the electrode D1, and it acquires an velocity. With that velocity, with that energy, it start moving into D1 and it enters the halo space with some value of velocity. When the ion is inside the D, the electric field is 0, and therefore it will not experience any further acceleration. But the magnetic field is not 0 inside the electrode. The particle, the positive ion, now it is entering into the electrode with some velocity. Okay, when a charged particle is moving in the magnetic field, we know that it experiences Lorentz force, and here the velocity and the magnetic field are mutually perpendicular to each other. Then the particle will describe a circular path. Now, after describing a semicircular path, the particle again enters into the gap, and when it is describing a semicircular path, it is moving with a constant velocity, and since the velocity is constant, it describes a circular path of a particular radius. Now, after describing a semicircle, again it enters into the gap. Now, as soon as it enters into the gap, now the electric field is not equal to 0. Once again it gets accelerated by the electric field. Now, in order to increase the velocity of the particle, now we have to make an arrangement such that as soon as the particle enters the gap for the second time, then the frequency of the oscillator should be in such a way that the reversal of the polarity of the electrode should take place. So, when the particle enters the gap, then we have to make sure that the electrode D2 is at negative potential and electrode D1 is at positive potential. As a result, now the ion gets attracted by the D2 electrode. Initially it is having certain velocity. Now it is experiencing the attractive force due to the D2 electrode, and as a result its velocity increases, and the ion enter into the D2 electrode with a greater velocity, and you know that the velocity is directly proportional to the radius of the circular path. As a result, when it enters into D2, it again describes a circular path but having a greater radius, higher radius than in the previous case. So, now D2 becomes negative and the ion is now accelerated towards D2 with higher velocity, and therefore it describes a semicircle of increasing radius. Now here, in order to achieve this, the condition is if t is the time taken by the ion to describe a semicircle, then this t must be equal to half of the time period of the radio frequency oscillator. Then, as soon as the particle enters into the gap, if these two times are equal, then automatically the polarities of the electrodes gets reversed and the particle is accelerated when it enters into the gap, and it enters into the other electrode. So, here initially assume this is the electrode D1 and we have used a positive charge, and when D1 is at negative potential, the positive charge gets attracted by D1, it enters D1 and it describes a semicircular path. And during this time, when it enters that gap, assume that the polarities are reversed, then D2 will become negative electrode, and this ion gets attracted by D2, and now it enters D2 with high velocity, and as a result it describes a circular path with higher radius, and this is repeated by number of times. Again, when the ion from D2 enters the gap, the polarity reversal takes place, and now the D1 becomes at negative potential, and therefore the ion gets attracted by D1 and it enters the D1 chamber with higher velocity, and it describes a circular path of greater radius, and this repeat by number of times. At each time when it enters the gap, its velocity increases. When it is inside the cylinder, when it is inside the electrode, its velocity will not increase, only the direction changes because of the Lorentz force, and when it enters the electric field, then it gets accelerated, and as a result the positive ion will take a spiral path of increasing radius, and at the end, when the radius of the spiral path is almost equal to the radius of the D, then the further acceleration is not possible, and we are going to remove the ion from the D, and to remove the ion from the D, we are going to use deflectors, and then we are going to strike the particle on the target. Now this is how a cyclotron works. Okay, thus the ion describe a spiral path of continuously increasing radius, getting accelerated every time when it approaches the gap. Finally, when the positive ion acquires the required energy, it is ejected out from the Ds through a window and is made to strike the target. Okay, to extract the accelerated ions from the cyclotron, a suitable potential is applied to the extracting electrode. There is an electrode, extracting electrode. By using that, you can remove the ion from the cyclotron. If the ion is positively charged particle, then the electrode, extracting electrode, is a negative electrode. Okay, by using a suitable electrode, we are going to remove the ion from the cyclotron, and the ion is made to strike the target. Now this is about the construction and working of a cyclotron. Now let us discuss the theory. Now under the heading theory, now we are going to find out the expression for the frequency of the AC source. This is not just the source, it is an AC source. Now I told that now the time taken by the ion to describe a semicircle should be equal to T by 2, time period, half of the time period. Time period is related to the frequency, therefore now we have to find out an expression for the frequency, and by looking at the frequency, by looking at the expression, we can able to achieve that particular condition. So under the heading theory, we are going to derive an expression for the frequency of the AC source, and also we are going to derive an expression for the maximum kinetic energy acquired by the particle. So here let us assume that Q is the charge and M is the mass of the positive particle, and let V is the velocity with which it enters into the electrode, and because of the transverse magnetic field, now this charged particle will describe the circular path, and let R is the radius of the circular path and B is the magnetic field. Then the Lorentz force experienced by the charged particle will appear in the form of a centripetal force. Therefore, we can write an equation BQV is equal to mv square by r. And from this relation, you will get the expression for the velocity. And the velocity of the charged particle increases every time when it enters into the gap. And this is the expression for velocity. And you remember this expression. Now we are going to discuss about this expression later. Now here you observe that the velocity of the particle is inversely proportional to the mass. Okay. Now this is the expression for the velocity of the ion. If t is a time taken by the positive ion to describe a semicircle, then you can write t as distance travelled by velocity. The distance travelled to describe a semicircle is nothing but half of the circumference. Therefore, the distance travelled is pi r and v is the velocity. Substitute the velocity value here and you will get the expression for the time taken by the ion to describe a semicircle as pi m by bq. And this time must be equal to half the period of the oscillator. Then only acceleration of the charged particle is possible. Therefore, let us equate t to capital T by 2. So, capital T by 2 is equal to, must be equal to pi m by b times q. Therefore, the time period is given by 2 pi m by b into q, and therefore, the frequency of the oscillator must be equal to bq divided by 2 pi m. Therefore, the frequency of the oscillator should be adjusted before we are going to accelerate the particle. Therefore, by looking at the charge, by looking at the mass, and this B is adjusted to get the sufficient amount of sufficient value of the frequency. Now this is the expression for the frequency of the oscillator in cyclotron. Now let us obtain an expression for the maximum kinetic energy. The kinetic energy of a particle is nothing but half mv square, and the kinetic energy becomes maximum when the particle velocity takes its maximum value. Okay, you know the expression for the velocity, and you know that the velocity of the particle is directly proportional to the radius. Therefore, when the radius of the circular path takes its maximum value, velocity also takes its maximum value, and hence the kinetic energy is also maximum. Therefore, E maximum is equal to half m, you substitute the value of v square, you substitute the value of v. Now here, since the velocity is maximum, r is also denoted as r maximum. And r maximum is nothing but the radius of the electrode, that is d. Now you divide the above expression and multiply the above expression by 4, pi square. Now this we are doing in order to express the maximum kinetic energy in terms of frequency. Therefore, in order to explain maximum kinetic energy in terms of frequency, divide and multiply the above expression by 4 pi square. So this is nothing but the frequency of the AC source, and therefore the maximum kinetic energy of an electron or any charged particle acquired by using cyclotron is given by 2m pi square r maximum square and f square. Okay, look at this. If you want to increase the energy, maximum energy, you have to increase r. That means you have to increase the maximum value of r. You have to use the electrode which is having greater radius. You have to increase the size of the electrodes. Okay, now this is the expression for maximum kinetic energy acquired by the ion in cyclotron. Thus, the energy of the ion in cyclotron is directly proportional to square of the radius of the circular path and is independent of the voltage applied. Okay. This is about the theory of cyclotron. Advantages. Cyclotron is useful to accelerate not only the light particles, but it can also be used to accelerate heavy particles, proton, deuterons, alpha particles, etc. It does not demand an excessively high voltage source for producing high energy particles. Therefore, here there is no need of high energy, high voltage, high electric field. In order to increase the voltage, we have to make the ion to enter into the gap in more number of times. Therefore, there is no need of using very high voltage source. Now, these are the advantages of cyclotron. Now, let us look at the limitation. I told that usually the cyclotron are used to accelerate positively charged particles. The limitations, we are going to see the limitations. In cyclotron, we assume that mass of the ion remains the same when it is accelerated, and this is true till the energy of the ion reaches 20 mega electron volt. That means when the particle is accelerating, the mass of the ion will remain same, and this is only up to 20 mega electron volt. When the energy of the ion is increased further, the ions will move with a very high velocity, and when the velocity of the ion reaches equal to the velocity of the light, then the ion will experience a relativistic variation of mass. Now you are familiar with this particular formula in special theory of relativity. Whenever a particle is moving with very high velocity, then the mass of the particle changes, and m0 is the rest mass, and m is the mass of the same particle when it is moving with very high velocity. And since the velocity of the particle is almost reaches, when the value of velocity of the particle approaches the velocity of light, the mass of the particle increases. When the mass of the particle increases, you know that you have seen in the expression for the velocity, when the mass increases, the velocity of the particle decreases. Now, when the velocity of the ion almost approaches the velocity of light, instead of experiencing acceleration, the particle will start to experience deceleration, because the mass of the particle increases. When the mass increases, the velocity of the particle decreases, and it takes more time to enter into the gap. And when it moves very slowly and it takes more time to enter into the gap, we are not going to, there is no resonance between the frequency and the time taken by the particle to describe the semicircle. Now that condition is not satisfied. As a result, instead of acceleration, the ion will get deaccelerated. Therefore, now the relativistic variation of mass will makes it impossible to increase the kinetic energy of the ion to very, very high value. Now this is the limitation. Thus the energy to which a particle can be accelerated in a cyclotron is limited due to the relativistic variation of mass. Also, how to overcome from this limitation? You look at the expression for the velocity. Now, the limitation of cyclotron can be overcome either by varying the magnetic field. So, I told that mass increases. Now, if you comparably increase the magnetic field also, then the velocity remains the same. Now, therefore, this such an arrangement is made in another type of particle accelerator, which is called as synchrotron. Now, another way of eliminating this limitation is by varying the frequency. Okay, you can vary the frequency according to the time taken by the particle to enter into the gap. Now that such an arrangement is made in another type of accelerator, which is called as synchrocyclotron. Okay. Now this is one more important note. Here you cannot accelerate electrons using cyclotron. Electrons are very light particles. Therefore, now as soon as the electron acquires an energy equal to just 1 mega electron volt, the velocity of the electrons become very, very high, and it are almost equal to 0.9 times the velocity of light. And the mass of the electron will increases to 2.5 times its rest mass. As a result, as soon as the electron acquires just 1 mega electron volt of energy, the electron will start to deaccelerate. Therefore, cyclotron is not suitable to accelerate electrons so that it can acquire a very, very high kinetic energy value. Now this is one more point we have to note. Now this completes your cyclotron. In next presentation, we are going to discuss one more type of particle accelerator, which is called as betatron. Now here we have seen that in order cyclotron is not suitable to accelerate electrons to very, very high value of kinetic energy. Therefore, another accelerator was designed, which can be used to accelerate these electrons. Now that is nothing but betatron, and we are going to discuss about betatron in the next presentation. Thank you.